Hi there, welcome to this presentation about SpeediWeb. I hope by the end of the presentation you want to join the growing community of practices that are saving hours every day. So, what am I going to cover in this presentation? Well, first of all, I'll give you a bit of overview of SpeediWeb and the story of it. We'll have a look at SpeediWeb. We'll have a think about the practicalities of how you can get SpeediWeb working in your practice. We'll look at the cost and the savings from using SpeediWeb. And we'll also have a look at the future about what that might hold for the SpeediWeb community. So, this is a diagram of SpeediWeb, and if you haven't already seen our SpeediWeb promo, then do click onto our homepage so you can see this. So the middle represents EMIS, and around EMISWeb, and around there are a number of other things. That's one of the things that I love about EMISWeb. They have partners, people who are walking alongside them in the journey so that they don't have to develop everything, but that other people can bring their expertise to bear. So people who are great at databases, who are good at managing documents, or managing peripherals. Now, SpeediWeb. And you can see how that now is a Venn diagram of EMISWeb and SpeediWeb together. So what does SpeediWeb allow you to do? Well, it allows you to work with fewer clicks, with more shortcuts, with new functions, and to spend less time doing all of that. So, the SpeediWeb story. Our practice moved over to using EMISWeb back in 2013. And there were a couple of important issues around that time for me. I'd broken my wrist so that it was quite sore as I was using the mouse. And I had some young children, and my wife was very keen, as was I, to get home of an evening. Those two things together meant that as I started to use EMISWeb, my wrist was becoming quite sore with using the mouse, and I was spending a lot of time doing things that seemed quite simple. So I went to the EMIS NUG in 2013 and talked to a few people about this, and they said, well, why don't you investigate this program called Macro Express Pro? That allows you to write macros to control EMISWeb. So I began looking at it, and I began making macros with it. And soon I was saving myself so much time. My partners came into my room and looked at what I was doing, and they started to want it themselves. So I started loading it up on their machines, and that's when SpeediWeb was born. Other people came and they wanted to start using it as well, and the community started to grow. So, what have we been doing since then? Well, we've been listening to people. We've been listening to practices and asking them what they would like SpeediWeb to do. When we've been listening, we've been developing. And we've been honing to make SpeediWeb as simple and as easy to use as possible. One of the things that I love doing when I watch people use SpeediWeb for the first time is watching the smile that comes over their face and the excited enthusiasm they see when they realize how much time they can save here. One person who just used SpeediWeb for a week said, having just started using it, SpeediWeb is already changing how I manage tasks and results. It's so much quicker. A seasoned GP, an innovative system that clearly saves valuable time. We also find the note tidying function extremely valuable. It finally offers a solution to organising long, chaotic problem lists. But it's not just GPs. Receptionists too. It's a whole lot easier and quicker to manage EMISWeb as a whole and saves valuable time. It doesn't take long to learn the shortcuts either. We're often in a rush and it makes life more manageable. So here's our Venn diagram of our SpeediWeb logo. On the right hand side, we've got EMIS by themselves, who are doing incredible things. They're transforming the IT landscape in primary care for the 21st century, helping us to work together like never before, integrating primary care and secondary services, what with GP SOC and HSCIC, GP to GP, EPS, you could go on and on about the great things that EMISWeb can do. They're doing those things completely independent of the user group, and we can't help them to do that. They're just doing a great job by themselves. However, there's a middle section here with EMIS and SpeediWeb together. Here the users contribute to enhancing the function of EMISWeb itself. We've brought ideas, and SpeediWeb has brought them into practice so that you can work faster and efficiently using EMIS. And I will show you a few videos of that in a second. There's also things that SpeediWeb can do by itself, things that don't use EMIS, that can help you in your day-to-day life. And again, I'll show you some examples of that. So, first of all, let's have a look at this overlap, where EMISWeb and SpeediWeb, the user IDs, come together to enhance how you can manage your daily life. Along the bottom there in this slide, there's a number of icons, and these are the icons that appear in your SpeediWeb toolbar. Let's look at those, shall we? First of all, do you want to manage your tasks even more easily? Well, now you can with SpeediWeb. Now, these videos that you're about to see are in real time, so I'll talk you through them, but they are quite quick. So, sending a simple task. So, I hover over the T in the toolbar, or I can use the shortcut. I choose someone from my menu, I press OK, and automatically SpeediWeb picks the person, creates the task, and I'm ready to type. Hello, one key press, and I send. So a task to the usual GP. All I need to do in this is hover over the Précis bar, press one button. And there you go. Created a task to my favourite recipient, to the usual recipient. Now here's the favourite recipient. I'm ahead of myself here. So again, one keystroke, and automatically my favourite recipient is CR Reception, which is my reception team, and it's already just created a task. So there's three quick and easy ways of managing tasks, very simply. If you want to do more, let's get more complicated, shall we? So now I'll click this. I'll choose 4 people. I'll make it all urgent. I'll make them all, but we have to action the task, and I'm going to use my predefined text. Here are 25 different predefined texts that are user specific. I'm going to choose one and press OK, and automatically SpeediWeb chooses all 4 people, puts them into the task, makes it urgent, makes them all use it, and puts in my predefined text for me. You'll have noticed that on the bottom left there, they're little pop-ups. These will come up as you're using SpeediWeb to enhance what you can do. So, for example, here it says to use Control, Shift and S to allow you to send this task. So, let's have a look at this next function here. So if you want to send tasks to people, about multiple tasks to people, this is the way that you can do it. So for example, in our practice, we use this when we have overdue diary dates. So we have a whole list of people who are overdue a diary date, and we need to send tasks on each one. We tried putting this on pieces of paper and putting it in people's boxes, but they got buried. We tried sending it around on Excel spreadsheets, but again, they got lost in the email. So now we send them around in tasks, and they sit there and enable people to do it. So I've got 4 columns here. On the left-hand side is the patient's EMIS number. Next to it is a column of who I'd like the task to go to. Then there's a message that I want to go in the task to start with. And lastly, there's a variable. So this person has a due diary date, due diary entry in the message column, and then you put in the variable column what that is. Or you could say in the message column, this person has a raised HbA1c. They might be diabetic. Their last HbA1c was. And in the variable column, you could add the number that you'd exported from EMISWeb. So what SpeediWeb does, it goes down and it records all of these. Then you've got to watch carefully. We'll switch over to EMISWeb. We'll go to the workflow section of EMISWeb. We'll change to the first patient. In this case, of course, a dummy. We'll start creating a task to the person that we've specified, and we'll put in that text. We'll OK it, and we'll switch to the next person. We'll create a task to the next person, put in the text, and OK it. So that was sending 2 tasks automatically in that period of time. You can imagine how much time that saves when you've got up to 20 people. So let's have a look at taming our unruly problem lists. So we had a practice that we were installing on, and they'd moved over from Synergy. All of their problems had gone as significant and active in the transition. They had thousands of patients, and trying to manage their unruly problem list was just impossible. In their case, the CCG funded some money to buy SpeediWeb to speed the process up. They suggested that we were able to create something that moved from significant active to minor passed in one step. So that's what we did. You can see it in action here. So here's our long and unruly problem list. I'm clicking that button, but again there's a key press. There was a checkbox. Now I'm doing significant active to minor pass. And I'm putting in letters that correspond to the ones that I want to move. And I'm just pressing OK. Now SpeediWeb goes down and changes all the ones that we've specified from significant to minor. And then it moves all the problems from active down to passed. Simple. That is a fantastic time saver. Whenever I'm doing referrals, I like to tidy up problem lists specifically so that the consultants don't get a whole list of random things. So I do that, but also when I'm doing medication reviews, I have to say it saves me a huge amount of time. So let's have a look at our problem lists. So if you want to, our lab results now, let's have a blaze through our lab results. So there's lots of icons there again on the toolbar that can help you to do that. So here's an example. I've got 5 problems. I'm going to key Control Alt and 5. Here's my list. This again user definable. I'm going to say they're all acceptable. And SpeediWeb will chunk through those and make them all acceptable. Filed, done. So with this next one, I'm going to send a lab task. So I turn lab task on. I then do Control Alt and 1 for one task. I'm going to use my predefined text, send message to Tim Carrow. I'm going to choose one of these, which is to talk about their B12. So now it files as a message pass to Tim Carrow. It opens a lab task. It finds me and it puts that predefined message in. Again, that saves me a huge amount of time as I go through my day. So let's have a look now at some of the things that SpeediWeb can do by itself. So we have a sandbox, and for those of you who are IT literate, you'll know that a sandbox is a place that you can play with yourself. We've got a whole number of macros that you can modify and customize to work in your practice for you. So let's have a look at some of those in action, and also some of the things that are using EMIS-Web to interact with other programs, third-party programs, to speed up your day. So here's a little macro which works out the delivery date. If you type #LMP, it will just give you a box. You can choose the last menstrual period date, and it automatically just tells you the estimated delivery date. This is quick password management. So INR star, I just type #INR, and it automatically takes me into INR star. Again, saves me those few seconds every day. Opening spreadsheets quickly. We type #QL and it automatically opens a spreadsheet at the correct tab, and we use that in our practice for the intranet. So press to dial. If you have the right phone system, you can hover over the number, press one keystroke and it automatically dials. Likewise, you can do that with emails. Hover over the email address in the toolbar, press the button, and it will automatically generate an email to that person. Finally, you can put up targeted timed screen messages. So you could put a message like this in the back office last thing at night. You could put this in the nurses' rooms, maybe at midday every day to remind them. And we particularly use this one for our doctors. It pops up at 11 o'clock every morning. So SpeediWeb allows you to do all those things and customize them for your practice. So if you think that you'd like to think about this a bit more as a practice, if you go to our website, you can sign and register for your 30-day free trial. And that will mean that we will get your details and contact you to arrange the trial. You can have a look if you want now at the support material. All the things that I've shown you here will be able to see more slowly in the support material. There's also written instructions if there are people of you around that like that. There's a frequently asked questions of using SpeediWeb, And you can also email us at any time so that we can help you to use it. So here's a key question. How much does it cost? And we'd really emphasise that we feel it's less than not buying it. We would hope that during the first 30 days of you using SpeediWeb, you'll have already saved enough time and resource to justify the cost. In a 4-doctor practice, if each one of you saving 50 minutes a day, that's an hour of GP time. Of course, over the first 30 days, that's a whole lot of GP time, not to mention the other people in your practice. So, in order to get started on using SpeediWeb, you need two things. First of all, you need a Macro Express Pro license. This is a one-off cost per computer. We're able to give you a 10% discount off the list price, and you'll be able to find the link from that on the register page. But for a 20 computer practice, that's roughly about £400. With the SpeediWeb license, it's only £500 per year, and that's for the practice. It's irrespective of the number of computers that you run it on. And of course, that £500 gets you updates and support. We're able to update you automatically, so if a new macro is written, or a macro needs to change for some reason, when you load it up in the morning, it will have automatically changed for you. So, what's next? Well, to get this far, we've listened to our users to build what we have. And our aim is to continue to listen and build into the future. That includes new functions. People are suggesting things all the time, and we're continually developing and honing SpeediWeb to make it better. Also, we are aiming to launch something called SpeediWeb Pro. So this is something that allows you to take all the functions of Macro Express, of SpeediWeb that you've seen, and put them together in a row. So you can send tasks, you can do lab results, you can open documents, you can save documents, you can begin prescribing. And SpeediWeb Pro allows you to do that. So this is currently under testing, and here's an example. So in a spreadsheet here, I've written a sort of program that will tell SpeediWeb what to do. In this case, it will send a task with the text to Tim Carrow. It will run protocol I, and I've already created a protocol within EMIS to code impaired glucose tolerance, and that's what this is, new IGT result. And then it will file a result and say new diagnosis of insulin impaired glucose tolerance. So first of all, here's the text. This person has a newly diagnosed impaired glucose tolerance. Please can you ask them to come in for an appointment with our nurse to discuss this. And then this is SpeediWeb recording this series of steps. And once it's recorded all of these, you'll be able to use them in one go when you get a result. And here we have a result, which is a glucose tolerance test, and this shows that this person has impaired glucose tolerance. So I want to send a task as I sort a reception, I want to code it, and I want to file it. So now I can do that with one key press. So here's my menu, new IGT result, and it runs those steps. First of all, it sends a task to me with the text that's already been defined. It opens my protocol launcher and runs protocol I. Then it files the result with the text that we discussed. And it's done. Now I'm just going to show you the care history, and you can see from there impaired glucose tolerance. So you as a user can build a sequence of steps that will enable you to customize these steps for you and your practice. Now currently this is not part of SpeediWeb itself, but is an additional bolt-on. And if you'd like to give it a try, then let us know. So, and what about for next year and the future? Well, we think you guys can write incredible stuff as well. We think one of the powers of the EMIS web community is that we're full of ideas. And we'd like you to be able to share those ideas. So if you've written macros yourself using Macro Express Pro, you can send them to us and we can disseminate them around the whole EMIS, the whole SpeediWeb community. For a sort of app store for a micro payment, people would be able to use it, and then we'd be able to pass money on to the people who've written these macros to enable them and to write more and to value them for their expertise. So that was a brief overview of SpeediWeb. We believe it can save your practice hours every day. Why don't you give it a try? Go to our register site and register today. Or our contact details, you can ask us any questions. We look forward to hearing from you.